Hello, Podmates! I'm Howie Severino and welcome to our new podcast series. Sa mga susunod na linggo, bubuhayin namin ang kasaysayan ng eleksyon sa Pilipinas.
Galing ang Pilipinas noong time na yun, isang madugo o sabihin natin matagal na paghihirap, dulot na rin ng Second World War. So nasa reconstruction period tayo. Maraming Pilipino naghirap noon at ang tanong ng ating mga kababayan, paano tayo babangon?
Tatalakayin namin ang iba't ibang aspeto nito.
There's been a lot of jingles over the years, but I don't think any jingle has been able to duplicate how effective this particular piece was, both in the message, both in the fact that it was an original.
Noong dekada 50, nauso ang Mambo beat sa radyo at mga nightclub. Sa kampanya ng eleksyon noong 1953, may isang kantang sumikat at umalingaw-ngaw sa kalsada.
Everywhere that you would look was a bandit or a crook. Peace and order was a joke till Magsaysay pumasok. That is why you will hear the people cry. Our democracy will die. Wala si Magsaysay. Mambo, Mambo Magsaysay. Mambo, Mambo, Mambo Magsaysay. Our democracy will die. Wala si Magsaysay.
Ang Mambo Magsaysay ay ang pinakaunang campaign jingle na ginamit sa isang presidential campaign. At hanggang ngayon, isa pa rin sa pinakakilalang jingle sa kasaysayan ng eleksyon sa Pilipinas. Ang gumawa ng kanta, si Raul Manglapos, dating senador at kalihim ng Foreign Affairs, na may talento pala sa musika. Okay, we're here with Francis Manglapos, the son of former Senator Raul Manglapos, who was also a composer. He composed Mambo Magsaysay, the first presidential campaign jingle. And we're going to be talking to Francis about that. So, Francis, tell us about the origins of this campaign jingle, Mambo Magsaysay, that your dad composed.
There was a formal request by Magsaysay for my dad to participate in the campaign, actually head the Magsaysay for President movement now. My dad remembers the day clearly because he was sick with the flu. And it was just at the same day, it was the same time if he bought his first air conditioner at the time, which was 1952, I guess, or 52, 53, something
Must have been a new contraption back then.
Yeah, exactly. Really new. So he was home with the flu, and his close friend from Ateneo and the Warriors, Magsaysay, Manahan, came with Magsaysay to our house in San Juan. And that's where Magsaysay formally asked him to head the Magsaysay for President movement. And of course, my father readily agreed because early on already, everybody saw that he was a rising star. He would be an excellent president. So, and also at that time, he had already composed the song Mambo Magsaysay in anticipation of his run. He was already tinkering. May have not been final yet, but he had already done the basic structure of the song at that time. And
So your dad must have been pretty young, no? This is the early 50s, no? 1952 ba?
Yes.
Okay. Why was he the one chosen for this important role? It wasn't like he was already a senior political leader at that time, no? He was fairly young person.
yes, you're
Bakit siya
right.
yung napili?
Well, he was in his mid-30s then. I think at that time he was actually teaching constitutional law at the Ateneo. But I think Magsaysay had a special appeal to the youth. He was very popular among the young people because of his anti-corruption crusade. I think Magsaysay wanted to capture that particular voting bloc, solidify it, if you will. Also, I wouldn't say he was not comfortable, but he wanted another organization separate from the Nationalist Party. Because as you know, he was a newly recruited member of the Nationalist Party. Recto, Tanyada, I think Laurel asked him to join the Nationalist Party. And he did, but he also wanted his own separate organization that he could really count on, separate from the Nationalist Party structure. And he felt that it being led by young people would give it a special special character that he felt could be a shining, push the momentum for his campaign. And that's why I think he approached my father to be the party.
So he had this talent for politics, but all this time, he also had a talent for music naman. So tell us about that. Ano yung musical background ng father mo?
Well, my dad's music has always been part of his public awareness, political stance. Or he always liked to do music for stuff that he was close to or believed in. But going back, he had an ear for music because he was born with a very bad eye. And as the saying goes, if you lose one sense, you gain it in the other. And I think when he lost that one eye, the vision of one eye, he gained more sensitive hearing. And that's why he could play music by ear. He would just hear it and he could play it. He ended up even composing.
Bata pa lang. I mean, he already showed this musical talent.
Bata pa lang. I hear stories about my grandmother asking a piano teacher to come and teach him how to play the piano, and then the piano player would play a piece and he would just immediately play it right after, just by listening to it. So the piano teacher just said, forget it, doesn't need to, don't wait, let him just play on his own. Just play it by ear if he just plays it by ear.
So he never learned how to read music?
He never really learned how to read
by
music.
ear
it was
talaga.
all by ear. He would always have to, at later years, whenever he would compose something, he would have to hire somebody to listen to it and write it down.
So he would kind of just hum it, ganon.
Yeah, hum it.
And then someone would note it on a piece of paper.
It's not uncommon. A lot of musicians
do it that way.
do it that way. They're gifted. That's the way they do it. But going back, the first major piece that he did was for his school, Ateneo de Manila. When he was graduating from college, he decided to compose the Blue Eagle, the King. So again, it was because
and it's still
for
being
his school.
used, no?
It's still,
you still hear it
it's
at
still-
basketball games.
Yeah, not as often as before, but it's still
Oh,
there.
you still hear it a
Yeah,
lot.
you
I mean,
you
at
still
every
hear it.
game. In fact,
Yeah.
I attended
Yeah.
the reunion of my high school batch.
Yeah,
It was
Yeah.
sung again, no?
yeah. So it's always been part of his public music. Has always been part of his publicly career. He felt that when you believe in something, you put all your talents into it, and since he was gifted with this musical composing talent, it would always be part of whatever cause that he was fighting for. During his school days, he wrote for the school. During the war years, he wrote songs as a guerrilla to help cheer up the guerrilla fighters. And during political campaign, particularly the one for Magsaysay, that's when he wrote Mambo Magsaysay.
So why was that the first jingle, no? So your dad had been composing
Yeah.
all of these years na, but
Yeah.
that Mambo Magsaysay was known as the first presidential campaign's jingle, because I understand
Yeah.
Mayor Arsenio Lacson had one just a few years before, no? But that was the first one for the presidential candidate. So paano naisip ng father mo na makakatulong ang music and this kind of music
Yeah.
in the campaign?
Mambo was becoming the new thing at that time. Very popular, very catchy. And I think that's when he felt that let's try something different. Let's try to make it more modern, more upbeat, to capture the new generation, to get the new generation into it. And that's when he experimented with the Mambo style.
Mambo, Mambo Magsaysay, Mambo, Mambo, Mambo Magsaysay. Our democracy will die kung walang si Magsaysay.
Hindi inasahan ang biglang pagsikat ng Mambo Magsaysay. May isa pa palang kantang nilikha ni Mang Lapus para sa kampanya, ang We Want Magsaysay na mas tradisyonal.
Men who serve without the nerve to cheat eternally, who do the job and never rob the public treasury, only the man of destiny our need will satisfy. This is the cry for you and me. We want Magsaysay.
The one which was the traditional was the usual traditional marchy song, very, pam, 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 very normal. But then he did something that was more for the masses. So he really prepared both. But the first song, since that was the traditional way of doing campaign songs or lifting up morale of soldiers and so forth and so on, that's what was supposed to be the main song. And then this is going to be like the Silent Pusa kasi may flip side. Pero the other one, the Mambo became the bigger hit automatically. It is the one that really clicked, particularly with the masses. No? So that's how it happened. The flip side noon, I think when you have to release a record, di ba, may flip side. So I think that's what happened. This became the flip side, but it became the more popular one.
And you had said that your father used an alias when he claimed ownership
Yes.
of the song. No, when
Yes.
he, as the composer, he used the name Roberto Suarez. No,
Yes. I think he was using that alias even during the war
okay.
when he was writing propaganda material. That was his pen name.
Okay.
And I think he decided, I don't know why, maybe the Jesuits didn't like the idea because he was still teaching at Tineo that he should be composing songs for a candidate. I don't know. But so I think that when he originally released that song, he used his pen name that he used during the war, which was Roberto Suarez. That's how it happened. But eventually people knew that it
Yeah, but
was
it's
him.
interesting kasi sabi mo nga sa ibang kanta, I mean, he used his real name, like probably Blue Eagle the
Later
King.
on.
He obviously
Yes,
that
yes,
you know
yes,
that was
yes.
he used his real name for
Yes,
that,
yes,
no?
yes.
Pero dito, I'm just curious lang siguro kasi it Mambo Magsaysay, the way it's worded at least, no, and maybe even the beat was it's probably not the kind of song the American Jesuits would approve of, no?
That's what I'm speculating.
Oo.
If he was teaching at the
Kasi sobrang
Ateneo.
makamasa,
Yeah.
it was not pure in language,
Yes,
no?
yes,
Medyo
yes.
bastardized pa nga yung
Yes,
yung
yes.
pagkasulat, no? But as you
Yes.
said, you know, he had to appeal to the masses. At the same time, Ateneo
Exactly.
educates elites, di ba?
Exactly,
So,
exactly.
ibang-iba doon sa estilo ng mga Jesuita, no?
Yeah, I speculate that probably is the reason, although I'm not really sure
Yeah.
if it was that serious. Maybe he just didn't want, he preferred to be anonymous at that time. I don't know, but he preferred to use his pen name, which was the same name he used when he was writing against propaganda against the Japanese.
It also shows your dad's versatility kasi sabi mo nga, his first big hit was the Blue Eagle the King, which was a marching song, no?
Yes.
But it's really for, a school band, di ba?
Yes, yes, yes.
And I know that when that's sung, di ba, yung mga estudyante sa stands, they'd be going like this. You know?
Yes, yes.
So it's really parang mas militaristic, di ba?
Yes, yes.
Pero ito, in a way, it's the opposite of a marching
parang
song.
pop. At that time, parang pop. Yeah.
Oo. So ano naman ang influence doon? Or your dad was just listening to all kinds of music? And
Yeah,
then,
he was listening to all kind of music. Or he liked the jazz and mambo, the Latin influence, so forth and so on. So
Mambo was Latin.
yeah, basically, yeah. So he and as I said, that was the in thing. Now it's APT. You know?
Yeah.
That's
of
the in
course.
thing. You know? So
Times have changed.
whatever.
But in other
it is
words,
in
during
now,
that time, 1952, it was kind of
Rap.
ahead of its time, no?
it was
it
the
was
in thing at that time.
Oh,
But I think
sumisikat siya.
what made it unique was it to be used for a presidential jingle. And I think it was not only the music, it was also the message, it was also the lyrics, which was very catchy. You know? So he had the talent of not only providing the lyrics, but also putting together the right words.
He also wrote the words.
He also
to the
wrote the
music.
words. Yeah.
Okay.
He would always write the words.
1945, nang matapos ang World War II, sa Pilipinas, naging matindi ang labanan ng mga Pilipino at Amerikano laban sa mga Hapon. At ang Maynila, halos hindi na makilala dahil sa tindi ng pinsala.
So makita natin na galing ang Pilipinas noong time na yun, nung tumakbo siya bilang presidente sa isang madugo o sabi natin matagal na paghihirap dahil dulot na rin ng Second World War. So nasa reconstruction period tayo. Maraming Pilipino naghirap noon at yun nga, ang tanong ng ating mga kababayan, paano tayo babangon?
Siya si Arjan Aguirre, isang political scientist sa Ateneo de Manila University. Tell us about the atmosphere of Philippine society back then. How could Magsaysay emerge from that atmosphere? So it's post-war, we were one of the most destroyed countries in the world, particularly Manila. No, this is less than 10 years later.
Gusto kong ipunto dito na ang ating mga kababayan that time ay sabihin na nating unti-unti bumabangon, pero again, the problem with development is that its effects, di ba? They are not that felt easily by the people, especially in a post, World War situation wherein marami kang kinoconstruct ng mga bridges, mga roads, etc.
Para sa isang bansang bumabangon mula sa giyera, musika ang isang daan para gumaan ang buhay. Noong dekada 50 sumikat sa buong mundo, maging sa Pilipinas, sina Elvis Presley at Jerry Lee Lewis, kasabay ng big bands na tumutugtog ng jazz at rock and roll.
That is why you will hear the people cry, our democracy will die, wala si Magsaysay.
What I found interesting in the lyrics of Mambo Magsaysay was it was in Taglish. No? Ngayon, ordinaryo na yan, na marinig. No? But back in the day, in the early 50s, medyo may parang hindi pa yata masyadong uso ang Taglish,
Yes,
no?
yes.
It was, of course, your dad was very fluent in English and I suppose in Tagalog as well, no? Pero I guess it was one of the first songs that was in Taglish, no? It was really more of a conversational kind of language back then. Tell us about that. I mean, ano naman ang influence nun? I mean, he had an ear for this as well, for this kind of conversation. Or were there already songs being written Taglish?
I don't think there were many songs written in Taglish at the time. It was either, as we were trained when we were young, either you'd speak straight Tagalog or straight English. So,
Atenista pa siya.
Last one was English. Because Mambo was English.
In fact, pinaparusahan yung nagtatagalog sa campus.
Exactly. So, it was a trailblazer song. I mean, putting it in Taglish, again, it was the market, not only the youth, but the masses. And they felt they had to put it in a language that they could really connect and understand to. And Taglish was the vehicle that they felt would be the best, that he felt that would be the best, to connect.
And I know it was translated into regional languages, no?
Yes,
Ilocano, and I suppose
even
Bisaya.
Bisaya even, yeah. That's what I understand.
So we're talking about the 1950s, no? So a lot of people don't remember, don't have any memory of that, no? So what was it about then that you say this song was effective? Why was it effective? I mean, now we remember it, pero back then it was effective, sabi mo nga. Did it really help Magsaysay win?
I think that it contributed to his landslide. You can debate whether the song was done or not. He still would have won because he was very, very popular to begin with. And Quirino was very unpopular for whatever reason. But I think it just added this particular song just added more fuel to the landslide. It made it bigger because it just got people more excited to be part of the Magsaysay crusade. No, that's the goal of lifting up the morale of your supporters. You need certain props, whether it is music or whatever. In this particular case, it was this song that really captured Magsaysay and what he was trying to do, and got the young people particularly really excited about supporting him and his message of change. I think it really worked.
First they voted in Lanao at pati aswang pa daw. Ang eleksyon lutong Macau, till Magsaysay showed them how.
In the lyrics, he was referring to election cheating in Lanao, no? I guess that occurred during the previous election for President Elpidio Quirino.
Yes,
no?
yes.
Ironically, Magsaysay was the defense secretary under Elpidio Quirino. No? That resonated as well kasi nga, Magsaysay supposedly represented kind of a new kind of politics.
Yes,
no?
yes,
And
yes.
also your father, no? Wanted
Yes.
a new kind of politics. No? So talagang siningit niya yun doon sa lyrics. No?
Yeah, Lanao was notorious even up to today. For some reason, election manipulation. With all due respect to my friends, and I have many friends in Lanao, But in all due respect to them, it's still considered as for some reason an industry there. You know, the post-election manipulations is considered industry. But as early as at that time, as you said, it was already known as a place where there was a lot of shenanigans going on with elections before and after the counting.
And in a way, your father, as a songwriter and lyricist, kind of lucked out on Magsaysay, not only as the candidate, but also because of the name Magsaysay. It rhymed with a lot of
Yes,
words, no?
yes.
Without Magsaysay, democracy will die. So talagang nilaro niya, no?
Yes,
Yung pangalan
yes.
Magsaysay, no?
Yes.
So that was kind of charming, I
My,
guess. to a
my
lot of
dad had a
people.
knack for rhyming. That's his. He was a really wordsmith. That was his first talent. That is putting music is just the coating. He really likes to write stuff, songs, speeches. He always wrote his own speeches, wrote his own songs.
Mambo, mambo, Magsaysay. Mambo, 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 our democracy will die. Kung wala si Magsaysay.
But in terms of rhyming nga, Magsaysay as a name was a gift.
Yeah, it made it a lot easier.
And in fact, it was revived later on because of those lyrics na democracy,
Yes,
about democracy.
timeless. Timeless
It
talaga
had
yung
that time.
message.
I mean, you take out the references to the early 50s, the election
Yes,
cheating, and
yes.
Lano, even though, sabi mo nga, medyo
Yeah,
timeless din yun, no?
it's timeless, but it goes on pa
but
to-
in terms of democracy, 1986, no? It was revived on Radio Veritas at that time. So, kailan nalaman ng pamilya mo, your father in particular, that it was being revived, no? 1986 by June Keesley
Yeah.
sa Radio Veritas.
Well, we were quite surprised. We were still in exile in Washington when we started to receive messages that during the 4-day People Power revolution that the kids were singing and humming it in the streets, and it was all over the place. And I said, my dad said, "What? How did this happen?" And so that's when we said, this June Keesley, Radio Bandido, he found that record there in the file. He felt this is a way to, to help lift the morale of the people that were demonstrating, and so that's what happened. So we were very surprised. It came by
Kind of a stroke
accident.
of genius din by
Yeah.
June Keesley kasi
Yeah,
she
yeah.
knew a hit when she heard it, no?
Yeah. And I
kasi-
think the message also, there are elements in the song that resonated to what was going on. As I said, take away the Magsaysay thing, but just the whole message was still the same.
Noong dekada 50, pausbong pa lang ang telebisyon. Kaya radyo ang pangunahing libangan. Wala pa bang TV? Oh, of course, no? GMA was 1961, no?
Wala pa ata.
So, yeah. Or
it was just starting.
It was a
It was-
very
I think
small
it was, but it was
part
not-
of... Yeah, so
Yeah,
hindi
it was
pa,
not.
hindi pa dominant.
or even if there was TV, people didn't have TV sets yet.
Yeah, radyo
Konti
pa
lang.
rin, no?
So it was not a radio.
Yeah.
It was still radio.
Oo. So I guess this was a medium that was really the most popular.
Yeah,
no?
the
So
radio.
this song could easily be played on
Played
any
on the
radio
radio.
station. I guess back then you also bought spots, no?
Yeah.
To
Bought
air the
spots.
jingle and whatever else
And
message
then
you had.
I think they had turntables, so they had records.
It was
that-
also
that
sold
was
as a
another
record.
one.
May
Yeah,
record
there's
yan.
record. And I suspect maybe when they would go to the provinces, they would have a machine, and they would play it and put it on bullhorn so that everyone could hear it. I speculated that's what they were doing at that time. Ito yung parang loudspeaker nila. Meron silang turntable dyan. They play the record, and then
So it was really one of the first, I guess, media-based political campaigns, no? Kasi may kasabihan, 'di ba, sa Philippine politics, can you defend it in Plaza Miranda?
yes,
So
yes.
kadalasan yung kampanya was really face to face, 'di ba?
Yes,
You address audiences in like public plazas and spaces like that.
Very
You'd
personal.
go around, very
Yes.
personal. Pero ito, Magsaysay did the same,
Yes.
but in addition to that, they used the new
They used the
popular
thing.
media. no?
Yes. And it was after that, it became practically normal. I think
Yeah.
the
Lumaki lang kasi
57
yung-
campaign, Yulo had a jingle, Garcia today, sunod-sunod na yan. But this was really the first one.
Mambo, mambo, Magsaysay. Mambo, 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 Our democracy will die kung walang magsaysay.
Looking back now, so ano yung impact ng Mambo Magsaysay para sa'yo?
Well, I think it's a standard that's very hard to duplicate. There's been a lot of jingles over the years, but I don't think any jingle has been able to duplicate how effective this particular piece was, both in the message, both in the fact that it was an original. A lot of people take a song and they just change the lyrics. There are some originals out there, but it still does not capture really the feeling and the message that this particular song did. It was really timeless in my view. So up to now, when people hear it,
They
it's
recognize
catchy, they recognize it, they love the lyrics. It was in one package, it was all there.
Unang bahagi pa lang yan, Podmates, ng ating kwentuhan tungkol sa kauna-unahang hit campaign jingle sa bansa. Habang bumabangon mula sa gera, paano naman ang politika noong dekada 50? At sino nga ba si Ramon Magsaysay? Abangan yan sa Part 2. This episode was produced by the team of Yumar Yanga and Aubrey de los Reyes. Supervised by Criselda Caringal, Arla Fabella, and Bernice Sibucao. Our camera crew is from the team of Benher Mujado. This was edited by J.R. Magtoto and hosted by me, Howie Severino. Thank you, Podmates, for listening and watching until the very end of this podcast. Alam niyo na, nakakatalino ang mahabang attention span. Don't forget to like and subscribe and binge watch our past episodes too. Until the next pod, mabuhay kayo at ingat lagi.